Hey everybody, just a reminder, we have the t-shirt link in the description. It's superspeedersmerch.com. If you want to score one of the Adventure Drive t-shirts for a chance to come on the trip next week, you have until Thursday or 1,000 shirts, whichever happens first. I haven't done the final count because I am filming right now, but check it out. Link below in the description, superspeedersmerch.com. What's up everybody, Rob Ferretti here at Corsa Motors, and you may not recognize this car, but you do know the owner. This is old Jimbo, young Jimbo, but Jimbo scored himself a Lamborghini Murcielago. And it may look like it's in pieces now, but it wasn't when he got it. But this is sort of the old Rob Ferretti, be careful what you wish for, because stuff gets expensive real quick. Now, Jimbo is down filming for a company called Savage Garage. They have a YouTube channel. He has transitioned over there. And he bought himself, he scored this, I want to say it's an 05 or 06 LP, I'm sorry, 05 or 06 Lamborghini Murcielago. Now this, cool car, this is a fun fact, the first Lamborghini I ever drove was the 50th anniversary Lamborghini Murcielago, the blue one with the door open. That was back in like 2003. Very cool car. I've always had a soft spot for him. And you'll now notice that Jimbo has two Lamborghini engines. And between the two of them, this car's still not going to move. And that is the moral of today's story, which is just because you score a car, don't forget it's super expensive to maintain. Now, Jimbo, and I was talking to him about it, had a engine out service for the transmission shifting when he initially got this. Now, I don't know how much he paid for it, but just say the car is worth $1.25, $1.30, $1.40, something like that. The maintenance that he's already put into this car that he's told me about was almost $20,000. And then on top of that, this is the engine that came out of his car, and I think it came out for an alternator issue or something like that, because this looks new. And then he had another problem where this thing here, right? You know what this is? This attaches to the crank. And when crank is down there behind the alternator. And when it's not attached to the, oh, there you go, right there, boom. When it is not attached to the crank, that's bad news. So this car doesn't have a crank. The options for this are to completely rip this thing apart and rebuild the engine, which I wouldn't recommend doing, or getting another engine, which is what Jimbo did. And I think he paid 14 or 15 grand for this one. And this is, I taught him well, you try to keep your costs down, but you're already, I mean, just looking at all this, it just all looks expensive. The engine that they got is cracked. You see the shaft here? See how close I can get. See? So this thing is garbage. So now this engine, and it at least got the crank, so he was going to take then the crank out of this engine, put it in that engine. I don't think you understand how costly rebuilding these engines gets. So now that that's bad and this is bad, I think he's looking for a third engine, which is just like, yeah, really bad news. So I don't know what Jimbo's going to do, but this just highlights, I mean, these engines when they're working are usually about $30,000. Shipping these is not expensive. Taking them apart, putting them together, just going back and forth on this, not recommended. That's why if you're going to get something, go to like Fur Parts or Exotic Auto Recycling, who is a big distributor of these aftermarket parts or the secondhand parts that will then warranty it. If they send you an engine, first off, they wouldn't send you one with a bad block, but if they did, they'd send you another one and you'd just send that back and they'd pay for the shipping. Now he's dealing with all the headaches that you don't want to deal with, because as I pointed out to Jimbo the first time he had an issue with his car, he's like, oh, I just had to spend 14 grand, whatever, $10,000 on the engine out for repairing the transmission. There was something that he had to fix, like a solenoid or something like that. And I'm like, yo, That's more than your old Corvette cost. So if you think about that, it gets expensive real quick. Now, I don't want to do the math, and I don't want to tell you how much Jimbo's going to spend here, but it's not cheap. And you're talking having this car, and I got to assume it's for less than a year, he's going to be at $30,000, $40,000 in maintenance costs on a car. And if he doesn't fix it, the car has significantly less value because somebody else is going to do full retail dealer money if he tries to sell it like this. So it's quite the headache. It's not cheap at all. And I just always warn people about the worst case scenario when you get involved in stuff like this. And I'm sure Jimbo drives it pretty hard, which the car should be able to take most of it. But I think this, if I recall, he switched it to rear wheel drive. So he can do donuts and everything like that. I've never seen these tires on the back. I don't know. Oh, the Toyos. What are these? Oh, he's got the R888s on it. Nice. So I don't think you need these. The R888s have a tread wear of 100. I don't think you need R888s on a factory Murcielago, even though he probably straight piped it. But just an example of what happens. You get one Lambo, and now you're going to need 3 motors to make it work. And the only thing that they all have in common is that they're all expensive. So the amount of money that's about to get dumped into this, and the cost of a mistake here in getting this, he's going to have to fight this guy if he wired the money, or I mean, I don't know how he sent the money to this guy. He could be out 14 grand. You could have to sue the guy. You sue the guy, it's going to take forever to sue him. It'll cost you more than it would to actually, the guy that sold this is going to say, oh, it must have broken transport. Go after UPS or whoever shipped it. And you're going to run into that, or even the buyer beware. Otherwise, this is Jimbo's fart stained seat. No, just kidding. There's no stains on it. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty nice car. It's cool. Imagine being, I don't even know how old he is now. Just say 25 and having a Lambo where the doors go up. So that's pretty cool. And he's got a nice set of Michelins on the front. But at the end of the day, things do get expensive. And this is a perfect example of careful, stuff's going to spiral out of control. Imagine, even if you spent $125,000 in a car, imagine spending 30% of what your car is worth in repairs inside a year. That sucks. So be careful when you buy. And then he bought an S65 too. I raced, and I think he said he was going to recreate the race. I raced an S65 Mercedes-Benz against this. Not this exact car, but a Murcielago. And it actually did very well. But at the end of the day, you start buying these older cars that they seem like great deals because this was like a $300,000+ car at one point in time. The problem you're going to run into is when you have to fix it, it's still going to cost what a $300,000 car would cost to fix. And you can navigate your way through that efficiently. But if you make a wrong move, you got to be able to eat that. And that's what he is learning now. So let's wish him all luck. Check Jimbo out over at Savage Garage. I think he is, I don't know if he still does anything on his own channel or not, but the fact that he's went from driving a C4 Corvette to a C5 Corvette to both a Murcielago and an S-Class Mercedes, good for him. Let's wish him well and learn from his mistakes that things can get expensive. And I don't wish this upon anybody, but he works hard for his money, and you never like to see that happen. But just let this be a warning to you all that just because something seems like a good deal, this probably was the cheapest motor he saw out there, and the guy's like, yeah, everything looks good. I'm no motor expert, but the guy probably knows it's worthless, which is why he has it. But just be aware that just because you can get cars for a reasonable amount of money, you can be upside down with the bank. And when I say upside down, you can be out of trust with the bank if the car gets damaged and you can't afford to fix it. And then they can call the note on you. And you can have repairs like this, which spirals into if this thing is done in the next, just say 2 or 3 months, I would be quite impressed. And the only way to get these things done quickly now is to throw ungodly amounts of money at it. And that sort of takes the fun out of the entire experience of buying said car. And the one position you don't want to get to is the position where you have a car that you then put together and you're afraid to drive it because you're just tired of spending money on it. So let's hope that's not the case. And there is your lesson for today. The lesson is just wish Jimbo luck, and hopefully he'll make it out all right. At least he didn't pay any sales tax on it. So he saved a couple of bucks there. All right, see you later. Bye. All right, thank you for watching the whole video. Now it's time to talk about adventure drives. I bet you know we were supposed to be going to Scotland this October. Well, for obvious reasons, we pushed that off till the spring. What are we doing now in October? Well, glad you asked. We're going to be doing a trip checking out the fall foliage. Starts in Lake George on October 20th, works its way up through Whistle Pig, Stowe, Vermont, over to Mount Washington, all the way over to the coast, checking out some whales, working our way down, having some lobster rolls, going to the Cliff House in Maine, working our way through Boston and into Newport. If that sounds like a good time to you, prices start at $2,500. Visit adventuredrives.com, and we hope to see you out there.